All right. About to get started with the old CreepGeeks podcast. Got some things going on.
Yep.
Different recording setup, different recording studio. Yeah. Cracking the old knuckles. What?
That's what we're going to call this?
Yeah, from an undisclosed location.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's give this a shot. You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/CheapGeek. So it begins again. Welcome back to CreepGeeks Podcast. This is episode number 165.
Broke neck and bad luck, cursed objects, and upcoming paranormal events.
Yes. So anyway, here we go. We're going to jump right into the podcast. This is the CreepGeeks Podcast. We normally like to do podcasts, at least once a week, but we've had a little bit of a run-in with some bad luck, as the title has said. So we are currently recording this podcast, both in video and audio, from an undisclosed hospital bed location in western North Carolina.
Yes.
So I'm your host, Greg.
I'm Omi.
And this is the CreepGeeks Podcast. And for your very first time tuning in, or if this is your very first time tuning in, this is an unusual circumstance for us, but we'll give you an idea where you can hear our podcast. You can hear our podcast on iHeartradio, SoundCloud, Pandora, all the major players, Google Play Music, Apple Podcasts of Destruction. Pretty much anywhere you can hear a podcast, you can hear us. And we also have a Facebook account where you can watch and participate, and that is called
CreepGeeks Podcast.
CreepGeeks Podcast. And we have an Instagram account called CreepGeeks Pod, and basically we have a website called CreepGeeks.com where you can go and check out some of our wonderful stuff that we share and contribute to the podcast by basically, if you'd like, using a phone number that we will provide for you.
That phone number is going to be 575-208-4025.
Yes. And you can, if you have a story to share or something you'd like us to research or something you'd like us to talk about, you can share it there. But pretty much, that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're all over the place, have lots of social media stuff, so we're going to get right into the podcast so we don't anger somebody by spending more than 2 minutes talking about how you can support us. And you know who you are, and you're out there. And basically, at the end of the day, it is what it is. So, I'm Greg.
I'm Omi again.
And this is the bear that you can't see at all in my neck hole. Just in case, if you can see, I have a sweet, sweet Ethiopian brass extension Taiwanese National Geographic thing where you could add the brass rings and make your neck longer.
No.
Yep.
That's not what that is.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the reason why I'm wearing such this wonderful get-up here with a microphone pointed at my stupid face, headphones, and this neck braces is because me not being a sports ball guy and more of a camper van guy, more of a paranormal researcher, investigator, kind of paranormal podcast guy, decided to go out and break my neck right before we were supposed to go do some stuff.
Yes, but before we get into that, we usually start the podcast off with some sort of random interesting factoid. So,
oh, yes. My notes are so small today.
You can drag to make them
Yeah.
Okay.
I know I can. I'm not.
And today's interesting...
I'm officially disabled. I'm not tech dumb now. Okay.
Today's interesting random factoid is, did you know we have the same amount of vertebrae as a giraffe?
That's not true.
Yes, it is. Because this is from physimed.canada, which is a website about spine facts.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, how many spinal cord vertebrates does a giraffe have?
7 vertebrae, just like us.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
However, The only difference is the giraffe's neck alone weighs about 600 pounds.
As does mine.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting random factoid. Do you know I'm made out of titanium and cadaver bone?
Yes, we were going to get into that later.
All right.
But this little link that we've included in the podcast notes, which we'll provide with this podcast when it gets published, has all sorts of like interesting spine and neck trivia. Things like you're taller in the morning than you are at night, which I've known that one. Especially when you get older. You start off with your spine fully elongated, and then as the day
don't look at me.
progresses-
Look at the microphone.
I know, but it's a podcast.
Because I
where
can't
they
have
can
an elongated
stop it.
thing right now.
Anyways, your spine does get more compressed as the day progresses.
That's because the world beats you down. That's what that is. As the world beats you down during the day,
Yes, you get shorter.
you get shorter.
And then when you go to sleep at night, your spine decompresses, and you end up waking up taller in the morning. That whole process, that healing process, though, slows down as you get older.
Oh.
Yeah. And then there's a very interesting one, which we'll talk about later, which is smoking is bad for the spine and for healing. Yes.
Well, being as we're in our secret, undisclosed hospital location studio, I can turn lights on.
Oh, look at that.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Okay.
But that's your interesting random factoid.
So spines. So giraffe have how many vertebrae? 7?
7, just like us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just like some of us.
Stop it.
We're gonna have a little fun with it. Okay, all kidding aside, as we move into the podcast and talk a little bit more seriously, what?
Nothing.
You giving me the side eye?
No, I was just looking at you.
Okay. So I'm in this hospital bed because I decided to go out and break my neck.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have a camper van. We talk about our DIY camper van, the ProMaster, our Ram ProMaster camper van of destruction. The albino rhino has roof racks on top, and I was taking the roof racks off so we can install 300 watts of glorious solar.
Yes.
So we can have solar energy for things like flat irons and stuff like that as we travel. Because if you don't know, we like to travel, and we travel to interesting places, and we've been making videos and things like that for our podcast. Because primarily, not only do we do a podcast, but we also investigate the stories that we try to talk about as best we can. And this year, 2020, we had big plans to go out and hit a lot of those places that sort of coincide with events and conventions that we were going to be going to and conferences. So we need to have that solar ready.
Yeah.
So it was a nice day. It was Super Bowl Sunday, and like I said earlier, I'm not a sports ball guy.
Yeah.
So decided to get the old step ladder out and get up there and take off some of the solar panels. Now I should back up and say, I originally said, I'm just going to go take a shower.
And I'm going to wait to do this till tomorrow when it's warmer.
Yeah.
And Omi and my brother can help me.
Yes, but I didn't.
And
So I got up there. Well, what were you doing?
I was over an hour and a half away doing a photo shoot for a client
Yes.
in a place I'm totally unfamiliar with
Yes.
on a slippery waterfall. So,
Nice.
yeah.
So, if it sounds like I'm yelling in a microphone or if the audio is not quite as good as it could be, well, we apologize. This is a completely mobile setup, and we really are in a hotel, in a hospital room,
Yeah.
recording stuff. So, okay. So anyway, I got up there, and as I was taking the last piece of the roof rack off and setting it to the side, and I was all the way at the very top of the van, which is about almost 9 feet tall, the ladder somehow or another got kicked out. And I remember seeing both my feet in the air as I was looking at them, and I remember going, what the hell?
And when you say kicked out, nobody else was out there.
No, it was just me. I had the dog tied, our dog Pepper, Paranormal Pepper, tied to the front steps because I didn't want her to be out there when I was taking the roof racks off because I didn't want her to get hurt.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so the ladder kicked out and I came crashing down directly on my tailbone and sort of T-boned myself underneath the van, basically. So I fell down the side of the van, bouncing my head along the side. I hit on my tailbone, and it sort of bent me like a taco, if you will, and pushed me under the van, and it hurt real bad.
Yeah.
But I didn't lose consciousness, but I remember hitting, and when I hit, it was like lightning bolts just shot through my arms. like if I was being electrocuted. So that wasn't good.
Now, did you know your neck was broke?
No, all I knew is it was a pretty bad crash because I flipped off one of my shoes. And as we all know, growing up in the 80s, if you grew up in that time frame, even in the 90s, it's probably a universal thing. If you ever have a wreck, you know, like a bike wreck or something like that when you're a kid and your shoe flies off, it's pretty serious business. So anyway, I flipped off one of my shoes, and I just remember my hands just like being on fire with these lightning bolts. And as I tried to sit up and get my shoe back on, my brother and my sister-in-law pulled up, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And I couldn't barely breathe because I'd knocked the wind out of me, landed on my tailbone, electrocuted myself all at the same time.
Yeah.
And what I realized was that my head was super floppy.
Oh.
And I was like, huh. So I decided to go ahead and hold my chin, and I was sitting up in a sitting up position, leaning against the van as best I could.
Yeah.
And they were like, "What are you doing? Why are you on?" And I couldn't breathe, and I'm like, "Just give me a second." So,
Yeah.
and the second basically turned into about 10 minutes. And then I figured, okay, well, since I'm holding my head and everything is okay, like, you know, as far as like me holding my head's okay, but my arms, and I thought I dislocated my shoulder is really what I thought I did.
Yeah.
And so right then I decided I needed to take 3 Aleve. You know, the naproxen, sodiums, because that'll fix everything,
because
right?
That fixes everything.
That's my go-to. Some people
No.
use Vicks Vapo Rub. Mine are Aleve. So, yeah, pretty much after about 20 minutes, and then my dad coming outside and my brother, you know, they helped me get into a chair, and they were kind enough to retrieve a couch cushion,
Okay.
like a couch pillow, off Mom's couch, and I folded it like a taco and stuck it up underneath my chin so I could hug it and hold my head up
Yeah.
and take 3 Aleve and wait for the pain to go away. Yeah. Joke's on me. It did not go away.
So
But my head was really floppy. Like, I could move it around. It was like, wow.
you do realize every time you moved it, you were actually putting more pressure on your spinal cord.
Was I? Nobody knows for sure, and I didn't
Yeah.
move it that much. I don't think so.
So, well, that's what the
It's
doctor
hard to
said.
say. No, they're just guessing because it's hard to say. Was me moving around my head causing that pressure, or was it the fact that I fell about 10 feet, almost 11 feet straight on my tail?
Yes, the way they explained it, the more you moved that head, your C6 and C7 were applying direct pressure.
Those are vertebrates, by the way,
Yeah,
for
like
us.
this onto your spinal cord.
Well, nobody can see you doing like this.
So,
So-
I'm making a triangle shape.
Yeah. So anyway, I broke my neck. I broke the hell out of my neck.
Yeah.
So everybody's got how many vertebrae again?
7.
So yeah, I broke mine. So I had like 8. I guess. That's how you look at it.
You are half right, because what happened was you snapped your C7 completely in half.
Like a twig.
But your C6, the ligaments around it were torn.
Yes.
So where the C6 met the C7 or something like that, there was like, I am just as foggy minded about this whole thing because so much information was being thrown at me and your sister-in-law about this whole at the office, doctor's office or the emergency room. The way they explained it was there was a lot of damage near the C6 as well.
Yeah. So I grabbed the old couch pillow, piled up in Dad's super sweet new car,
Yeah.
and took about a 25-mile ride to the hospital.
Yeah.
Because we live out in the middle of nowhere. And then we get to the hospital, and they strap this super sweet neck brace thing, kind of like what I'm wearing now, on me, and basically said, we need a neurology team, and we don't have one. So you need to go to another hospital.
And when did you call your wife?
I didn't call you at all
Yeah.
because I was too busy holding my floppy neck up with the pillow, but my brother was sending you amazing text messages like, he think he broke his neck, he's going to the hospital.
No,
I don't know.
you're-
Okay. Because at that point, my whole goal was just to get to the hospital.
Okay. So
And
my
I
side
knew I
of the
was going to be
story.
in a hospital, so I wanted to go ahead and smoke a couple of cigarettes just because.
My side of the story is I got done with a photo shoot that was about an hour and a half long, and my client wanted to have tea with some family and friends. And as they're making tea and settling down for the late afternoon, all of a sudden all these text messages came in because I was so far out there I didn't have signal. And these are text messages from your brother and from your sister, or from, sister-in-law. And it was, Greg thinks he broke his neck.
Yep.
And then we're on our way to the hospital. He's okay. And I'm like, what in the world?
Yes.
And then there was a bunch of missed calls. And I was like, what in the world is happening? My client actually had to drive me all the way back down to Civilization. At that point, I was able to call
Did she go fast?
Yes, she did. She was...
Sweet. I will thank her when I see her.
Yeah. She went very fast through those mountains. So,
Sweet.
Yeah. Got me to Civilization. Told me to take care of myself and give her some updates, which was funny because, sadly, I didn't give your dad or her updates until we were way into the situation.
Wow.
But I'm on my way because they're already at the hospital, and the whole time I'm not a very good driver, and I had to white knuckle it across a few mountains to get here.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I had really not enough information to know how bad you were. So
Me either.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got to go to get an MRI, and they realized that I was too big in the shoulders because I'm a big burly man.
So.
And so they took me to another hospital. So now we're at third hospital where they finally got me into the MRI tube. And I remember being pretty uncomfortable. And them telling me, you need to be being really mean, actually, kind of nasty to me, saying things like, if you don't get this done or if you don't hold still, we're not going to be able to do this. And the lady doing it, bless her heart, was a real a-hole.
Stop.
No, she was. And I told her, I said, if I could do this, I would do this, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, after I laid there for a minute, I think I may have kind of passed out for a minute. I'm not for sure. But anyway,
Yeah.
After being in the MRI tube and them sliding me out, they were all really nice to me.
Yeah. Well, I will say your EMTs that had to transport you
The
through
EMTs were freaking awesome.
all these, they went the extra mile. In fact, when you did pass out, one of them was nice enough to wake you up. So they did an amazing job.
Yeah, because I don't remember them leaving, actually.
Nope. He stood by you.
So I need to tell that guy thank you very much.
Yeah.
I do know that somebody said morphine, give him some morphine.
Yep.
I don't know when that happened, but that I got to tell you, man, if you ever break your neck, get the good stuff.
Actually, it was one of the triage people that recommended it, and they recommended it through somebody because I think one of the EMTs did, but I'm not sure about that. But yeah,
he was a cool cat. He's ex-military like me.
Yeah.
So I think once they realized how broke my neck really was, they were like, "Oh,
and
we got stuff to do."
It took forever for this. The whole time, me and my sister-in-law, who stood by my side this whole thing, and my brother-in-law, she's trying to explain things because at one point when they were telling me it was like they were speaking another language to me, and I was just...
What were they saying?
We're
doing a podcast. You can throw out details.
Well, just like...
If you remember them, because I don't remember a whole lot.
They were trying to explain how we have no available neuro team. This requires, like things like an MRI. I'm like, you don't have an MRI? They're like, we do. It's just not open on the weekends. I'm like,
oh, yeah.
But this is an emergency room? And I just... Yeah. So we're going to have to put him on an ambulance, and I'm panicking because... are you going to have to go on the ambulance by yourself? At that point, you were kind of like, I really don't want somebody to, I don't want to be in an ambulance all by myself with a bunch of people I don't know. So
freaking strangers.
Yes, basically. And so I started to panic, and Stephanie started making some decisions for me, which is good. But
so anyway,
yeah.
Got the MRI, went in there. The doctor explained that if I didn't get the surgery done, it'd be very bad, and death and all this other crazy stuff.
And basically, the way in which his C7 completely snapped and the damage to the C6, there was no way he would be able to survive without having the surgery immediately. And that was explained to us around 2 a.m.
Yeah, and this whole thing happened at like 2:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah. So we're like...
fun fact, I still have no idea who won the Super Bowl. Even more fun fact, I'm not a sports ball guy. I have no idea who was actually playing in the Super Bowl.
Oh, gosh.
So
we're just going to leave that a mystery. If you're listening or watching, you can let us know in the comments.
yeah,
Or,
I could probably look it up, but I don't
Yeah.
care. But that's okay.
But yeah, around 2:30, 2:40, the neurosurgeon team, well, some of the people from the neurosurgeon team came in and explained the severity of his injury to us, and even showed us some pictures of the MRI, and they even showed us your x-rays from the first hospital. And they showed how, compared to the x-rays and the MRI, how much change had happened just in the very little movement and with the brace. So the more stuff that kept moving around and the longer they waited, the more pressure was being applied to your spinal cord. So they needed the surgery. And because you had been given some medication to calm you down and to ease the pain, I basically had to sign. And I verbally asked you, Greg, you need this surgery. Me and Stephanie think you should have this surgery. Do you want this surgery? And you had to, it took you a moment.
And?
Yeah. You're like, well, if you think I really need it.
Hey.
So that got done around 3. And then they had to prep you for surgery. And it's amazing some of the stuff that they do when they have to prep you for surgery. This is the stuff that is kind of like TV, where they cut your pants off and rip your shoes off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they start trying to just IVs all over the place. That's the stuff that, when you watch TV and movies are pretty accurate, And it's because they don't want to destabilize the patient by moving them around, So they got all that done, put him in a lovely hospital gown. And
I think I still have it.
Yes.
It's very nice.
And then basically while he was in the gown getting prepped for the surgery, by now it's about 4:30, they started explaining details about the surgery, how even with the surgery there was a risk for paralysis. The surgery may take anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. It may be a few days before you wake up. And the one sentence that really stuck out to me was, do not be surprised if he wakes up with some deficiencies, some significant deficiencies. And
Yes.
I just flipped out because I'm like, what does that mean? And Stephanie was trying to tell me, things like he might not be able to walk. He may not be able to even move. Deficiencies mean things like paralysis and all that other stuff. And since it's the spine, we never really know what those consequences may be. So at that point, I'm flipping out. You're not really flipping out because they've just started putting you through all sorts of anesthesia.
Yeah, well, looking back on this, as we kind of move into it,
Yeah.
even without the morphine and everything, I was super calm the whole time.
Yeah, you were.
So.
But as they started to give you more and more...
For some reason, I had very little worries. The only worry I actually remember having is that I knew it was going to be pretty serious.
Yeah.
Was that if I didn't make it through the surgery, I wanted everybody to know that I loved them. That was it.
Yeah.
That I cared about them, and that even if I knew you and you didn't think that I cared, I did. I just wanted everybody to know that, and that way, so if something didn't happen, at least then that would be known.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted. That was it.
As they started to give you more and more drugs, that became more and more apparent. But the way, because you were starting to get really weak at that point, so the way you were vocalizing it made me and Stephanie very scared. So, they were telling us to call your dad.
Was it like The Godfather?
No.
Please.
Weaker.
Tell everybody I love them.
It was honestly a lot weaker. And,
Wow.
the docs, the nurses and the surgeons, they're like, call his dad, call his daughters, call people. And you spoke to everybody for a moment. We were trying to wait for somebody to call. That got taken care of pretty quick. And then they took you away. And as they were taking you away, you were trying to talk. You were trying to say something to your brother. And you couldn't get it out. So instead you just said, I love you. So
There you go.
Yeah. And Stephanie and your brother, they tried to put some food in me because they realized, so you hadn't eaten all day. Neither had I. They tried to put some food in me. I didn't want food. I just wanted maybe a cup of coffee or something. They drove around trying to find me coffee and trying to find me some Aleve, so which we left at your dad's house apparently, you know. And during that time, there were people that you wouldn't think who called and asked to, you know, get a status update and things like that, which I forgot to tell you about.
What?
You had other family members checking in when this was happening.
Who?
Family members like Scott and Missy and people. They were very concerned. And Stephanie handled it like a champ because
nice.
she is, you know. So it took some time. They managed to put a little bit of food in me, got coffee, got some Aleve. And by then, about 2 hours had passed. 2 hours and 10 minutes. And then finally we got a phone call saying they had flipped you over. They hadn't started the surgery, but they had finally flipped you over to start the surgery. So they took 2 hours to flip you over onto your stomach so that they can work on your neck. And the reason is apparently they had the whole team slowly moving you, and they may have been doing x-rays to make sure nothing else shifted.
Sweet.
So then the rest of the surgery took 5.5 hours.
Where they rebuilt me.
Yes. And you now have titanium.
Oh, yeah. So evidently, I haven't seen the picture since then because they gave us a super sweet CD-ROM for the pictures. In our laptops, we removed the CD-ROMs to put SSD drives in them. So anyway,
yeah.
I guess I have titanium pieces and parts and screws and rods and junk.
So you have...
And fused spinal vertebrates.
His vertebrae are now fused. And
I have some cadaver bone in me.
Which wasn't totally
my new
explained
gaming
to
name
us.
is going to be Titanium Cadaver Bone Man. So don't take that.
Yeah.
It's going to sign in. So,
but they explained that you would now have 2 titanium plates.
Yeah.
And then bolts. So, yeah.
Very nice.
And the cadaver bone, I'm not really sure. So.
Yeah. Anyway, kind of a weird thing.
Yeah.
Broke my neck. Woke up on Wednesday, kind of.
Yeah.
This happened on Sunday. Didn't really know what was going on. So, I don't know. It was kind of a strange thing. Went through the long process of being super thirsty. All I wanted was a freaking ice cube, man, and they would not give me one.
Well, that's because you had...
I know I wasn't able to drink because they told me you can't drink because you've got tubes all in you. But I was just so dry. My throat, I was so parched.
When he got out of surgery, he was on a breathing tube, which if you've never seen somebody on a breathing tube, it kind of really takes you aback because you're not used to seeing somebody else not breathing on their own. And then I stayed with you for all of that, where it was basically you breathing on a tube. They would come in every few hours. They would lower your sedation and then try to get you to do something called responsiveness tests, where they demand that you grab their hand.
I don't need people telling me what to do.
Hold their finger, kick your feet, lift your leg up. And for the first couple, they were really concerned. But it turns out his responses were good. It was just when he was waking up going, oh my God, I've got a breathing tube. Where are my family? You know? So he, being the ornery porcupine he is, he's not going to do your responsiveness test. He has no idea what's going on.
Yes.
Yeah. What'd you do?
I don't know. You tell me.
He may have tried to flip off a nurse.
Yes, so some people that helped save my life may have been shown my gratitude by middle fingers. Middle finger guns for everybody.
But because you were weak and a little bit sedated, it came out wrong.
Why are you pimping me out, man?
I'm not. There was one successful flipping of the bird, though.
Very nice.
So eventually, I think you figured out you have to do these tests. And I believe it's because a certain nurse got like this and said, if you do not respond to these tests, I'm not taking that breathing tube out. So, yeah.
Joke's on her.
Yes. Which is funny because she's actually a lovely lady, but I think your eyes got all wide. So,
Well,
yeah.
yes.
But yeah, and then you pretty much woke up on Wednesday, but until you passed your swallow tests, they were not allowed to give you anything to eat or drink or even ice cubes or ice chips or anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was loads of fun. So anyway, broke my neck, woke up on Wednesday, wound up getting out of there, got transferred to our secret undisclosed location. My fingers work, my toes work, my legs work, everything works. My hands are still kind of numb. My arms are kind of numb. I have a lovely 18-inch zipper down my neck. It had 42 staples, which is the number of human chromosomes in the body.
Really?
I think so.
Okay.
Pretty sure. If I'm not, you can correct us below. Pretty weak overall, but I'm not paralyzed. And kind of is what it is, so here we are. So I have a long road to recover, which will go a lot faster because I am secretly badass and did not die. Probably should have, but that's okay. But we were looking at, aside from being in the position we're in, which is a terrible position to be in for anybody, what may have caused this? Because we just had continual run of bad luck in those past 3 days and a couple of days after this whole thing, and we could not figure out what was going on. I was like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
So we have a theory. Don't know if it's a real theory or not. Can't put our finger on anything else but this one sort of thing. And that's what we're going to talk about right now, because it's not our goal to bore you with or try to garner any kind of sympathy for me or anything like that. Other than I do want to say the people that saved my life, I very much appreciate it. All my friends and family that were hooking us up with prayers and good thoughts and
Reiki.
Yep, and the secret Reiki masters out there actually performing Reiki, which we'll talk about that in another podcast because I believe in that stuff now because I seen it. It's kind of crazy. So a while ago we bought some possibly haunted items.
Yeah, because we thought it would be cool. Well, I thought it would be cool.
Well, we thought it'd be neat.
Yeah. And we didn't...
And they didn't really feel haunted.
Yeah.
They didn't feel a little weird. Although I will admit, I was drawn to one particular thing out of a box of 300 of these things.
Yeah.
And that's the one we got. And what did we get? What did we actually buy?
We bought a jailer's keyring, an antique jailer's keyring.
Probably from the 1800s, honestly. It's pretty old.
And we bought 4 skeleton keys.
Yes.
2 of them I knew were either reproduction, and the other was just a jewelry box key.
Yeah.
And they were just, oh, look, I can use these to make goth jewelry because, for 2020, we're going to start doing more paranormal conferences. So those 2, nothing. But the other 2 that looked like jail keys almost, or some sort of skeleton, like a real skeleton key, they were a pair.
Yeah.
And they were attached by a little metal thing.
Yeah. A nice brass sort of ring.
And then because they also had that bar that was on them too.
Yeah.
And those ones
we liked them, we were going to keep.
Yeah. And, we were like thinking, okay, cool, we can take these because they're really old. We can take these to little conferences and stuff like that. But the place we bought them from, we were doing like a little mini event. We made no money at that.
No.
The next time we took those things out, we tried to take them to Carolina Paracon.
Yep.
Where we were 2 hours late due to a terrible accident.
Yep.
And we forgot stuff for that whole thing. So
that was pretty weird.
Yeah.
We pretty much have what we take these events down
to a science now.
Yeah, and we wound up leaving important things. We almost got into an accident. We were over 2 hours late. It was just one thing after the other. So that particular event went okay, but when we came back, we took those jail keys.
And Mr. Eric Mitchell's interview got destroyed.
Oh, yep. And Eric Mitchell's, it's kind of hard, though. Did his interview get destroyed because of the keys, or did it get destroyed because he's Eric Mitchell?
That's true.
Yeah, Eric Mitchell is a UFO abductee experiencer of sorts, and he told us that you may have problems with the interview, and he was absolutely 100% correct.
Yeah.
So one day we will have to get a hold of Eric when we go visit him, which was in the future, to redo that sort of thing. But we just had weird experiences, so when we came back, what did you do? You put the keys and stuff in a nice little mason jar with salt.
An antique candy jar. Yeah.
Right, mason jar, with candy jar with salt, bound and protected and set aside and put away.
Yeah.
Because we were like, okay, the last thing that happened to us that caused this weird stuff were these keys.
Yep.
So we put them up. And
And
then that was what? Months and months and months ago.
Yeah, and then because we were actually planning on, in February, taking a trip to a certain paranormal museum.
Yeah.
I
in
wanted,
Kentucky,
yeah,
we were supposed to meet some people and do some interviews and do some things and talk to some very nice people, which
And-
hopefully we'll still be able to do in the future. And we were going to bring those keys
to see if they could,
just to see what they thought.
yeah, and if they had any guidance on how to deal with these types of things, you know?
Yeah.
And because I looked at the keys and I was like, wow, these have been sitting in salt for months, and now the salt is all weird looking.
Kind of black and just kind of
Yeah,
grubby.
and I was like, what is happening to the jailer key ring? I'm like, huh. So I took them out and I was wiping them off because it looked like something was like some sort of chemical, like significant chemical reaction was happening. I just wanted to wipe them off. I wiped them off a whole bunch, and then I showed them to you, at which point you were like, I'm still going to put this on my key ring.
Yeah, so we broke the seal, broke them out, cleaned them up, and then been sitting out,
Yeah.
right? And so I don't remember if that was like right before all this happened.
It was the night before.
So, fun fact, was originally just going to go take a shower before messing around with the van. I wasn't really going to mess around with the van. I was going to edit some video for an upcoming video that we have called Road to Nowhere.
Yeah.
But I actually took the key ring and was going to put it on my keys when I got distracted and decided to go out and work on the van.
Yeah.
And then, long story short, I was up on top of that ladder, and I'm a careful dude.
And you've done so much on not just this van, but the previous one, and then the RV on a ladder.
Yeah. And so, I was super careful because I didn't want to fall, and I knew, it'd be bad to fall and all that sort of thing. And it was like somebody just kicked that ladder out from it. It's like somebody just came up and just ripped it out from underneath me. So,
But we live on 14 acres. Nobody else was there.
no. But anyway,
You know.
so the keys may have had something, but it's what happened after, I think, that sort of got it for me. So, what
Yeah.
happened after So I'm in the hospital and all that stuff, and you're in there messing with those keys, and you sent me a text message a couple days after I was awake and kind of moving around. And what did you say?
Well, I have a whole timeline.
We'll do the timeline because I
so-
don't remember too much of it.
February 1st, messes with the skeleton key. We both messed with the skeleton keys and the jailer's key ring. February 2nd, you broke your neck. February 4th, you're still kind of in and out of sedation, but they're bringing you out. And I get sent home. Basically, you've been up for 3 days straight. You're a wreck. Go home. So I got sent home. When I went home, the skeleton keys were on a different table.
That's kind of weird.
And the jailer's key ring is on the floor right in between the hallway or the doorway to the studio and the living room. On the floor. And I'm like,
That's kind of strange because I didn't put it on my key ring at all.
yeah. So I was that was the thing because we talked about it later, and you didn't remember if you left it on the podcast studio table or on the living room table.
Right.
But yeah, so the keys, they were on the podcast studio table, they were supposed to be on the living room table. And the key ring is on the floor. And I'm like, well, maybe in all the commotion, maybe Stephanie and Will were in here. Maybe they were running around. That's what I thought. So I picked them both up with my bare hands, and I put them on my craft table. Okay. That's February 4th. I took like a 6 or 7 hour nap and started to head towards the hospital when February 5th, Facebook and Instagram shut down our social media accounts.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we got hacked.
And it turns
And they
out
shut them down.
Greg's account got hacked. First, we got a notification that copyright.
Yeah, which we don't have copyright. We have all it taken care of.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then basically everything else, like from spreading some sort of bad propaganda, So our social media got shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that same day I did go home.
Right.
And I touched the keys again, put them back in the salt, placed the jailer keyring next to the jar.
And then massive flooding.
Yes.
Massive flooding caused all the problems with the neighbors, also flooded out the bunker.
Yeah.
Which is not good. And then what happened the next day? The well stopped working.
Yes, the well on our property stopped working.
So I think that's about the time you called me and said, there's keys and the key rings. And as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
So our thought, or my thought personally is that putting those keys in the salt really sort of pissed off whatever was going on.
Yeah.
Like super angry. Because it didn't seem to do anything when you pulled them out. It was like letting something out.
Yeah.
Because, the well flooded. I mean, the bunker flooded. The well stopped working. You put gloves on.
Yeah.
You put the salt and you wrapped it back in there and you did the deal, right? You put the salt around the keys with the key ring, right? You salted it basically. Yeah. And then what happened?
So when that happened, stuff was flying. It seemed like stuff was falling very hard or very fast. I don't want to say flying off of the shelves, but stuff was just falling.
Yeah.
And okay, so we have a cute little lucky bamboo plant that has a little Batman ornament on it. It deliberately fell in a weird way to break the salt circle that I had put around the jar.
Yeah.
I had put the jar on a plate after I put the gloves on, put the jar on a plate, redid the twine, and then put the salt circle around it and put it in the far corner of our house.
Yeah, because we were trying to figure out how we were going to get rid of it.
Yeah. So the Batman ornament fell off the lucky bamboo plant, broke the circle. Went and fixed the circle. Something else happened. I heard a loud noise. One of my Crocs. How does one of my Crocs end up from the living room to the door?
I don't know.
But that's when I noticed the twine was messed up, and the twine had broken the salt circle again. So, redid the circle again. At this point, I am breaking out the sage, and I'm saging. And I'm saging the way, like, my friends from the Southwest taught me how to. And that was February 8th-ish, February 9th-ish. I come in, and you have broken out in a horrible allergic reaction.
Yes. Huge rash all over my body.
During your healing process. Yeah.
And I was fine before. So it's just kind of a weird thing. So basically, the keys are in the jar. The key ring's back in the jar. It's resealed. It's salted again. And what's been happening since then? Nothing.
Nothing. Like a complete nothing, though.
Yeah.
It's kind of like...
It's kind of like going from outside in traffic to a library. Nothing is happening.
Yeah, but it's also kind of jarring and scary. Like, is something else going to happen?
I don't think so. I will say that during all this time frame, and when I was all under medication and things like that, and when I was at the other hospital before being moved to this hospital, I was able to see things that I wasn't normally able to see. And I was able to actually see freaking dead people for a period in time.
Great.
And I would watch this nurse come in with this older person following behind her, and I would watch that older person mess around with that nurse a little bit, and she would set her clipboard down and walk away. And she would come back to try to get it because she would lose it. She lost it like 3 times in a day, and it was that thing. Every time that old man, she'd have the clipboard, and she'd talk to me a little bit because everybody at the hospital was super nice.
Yeah.
Like very, very nice to me. She would talk, and this person would just touch the keyboard or touch the clipboard, and she would set the clipboard down, talk a little bit more, and walk out.
Huh.
And she did it like 3 times. And the last time she came in almost in tears because she wasn't able to find the clipboard because it had all the work that she had to do in nurses or patient information, all this crazy stuff. And she's like, I've lost this 3 times. I'm like, well, you need to tell the old man that's walking around with you to leave you alone.
Yeah.
And she did not like that. And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm just seeing things, and I'm seeing this dude, and it's, and I don't know. It was a strange thing. I've seen some things, and I think a lot of it is if you're super heavily medicated and you almost died, you're probably a lot closer to that veil.
The veil's super thin.
Like maybe it's a whole lot more tangibly thin, more, than anything before. And, it's just weird, man. And when we got to the other hospital, I'd seen a couple... in our secret new undisclosed location, I've seen a couple things, and I developed the ability to predict when my wife would show up, which is very nice. So,
Did you know today?
yeah,
Okay.
I knew it just wasn't as strong. I knew you were here.
Okay.
That's why I wasn't shocked when you just come busting in the door all crazy.
Well, I was carrying a lot of snacks.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Or maybe I can just detect snacks. I don't know. It's just been a strange thing. And I had one crazy experience that we'll talk about in another podcast. It's going to be about Reiki healing and
maybe stuff that happens.
old hag.
Yeah, or stuff that happens when you sleep.
Yeah, because this was super crazy and just kind of a strange thing. So anyway, what we thought we would do is just kind of give you a little bit of an update because we haven't had a podcast out in a minute, and it's been a terrible thing.
Yeah.
I think we're getting close to the point where we're going to need to stop because in our amazing, wonderful mobile setup we've got going on, our batteries are being depleted as we speak, which is slightly unusual.
And the one thing I do want to say is, we've had a huge outreach of support from our friends and family and also our friends in the paranormal community. And all I can say is thank you so much. And thank you for thinking about us when so many of you got a lot on your own plate to think about.
Yeah, very much appreciated.
It's a long road to recovery. We're not sure.
Not that long. I'm going to make it not that long.
Greg is making leaps and bounds every day, but what I want to say is...
I can potty by myself now. I'll tell you what, if you have something like this happen to you, if you have any personal hang-ups about strangers just washing you and stuff like that, they're going to be out the window.
What I want to say is we're not really sure if we're going to make it to all the upcoming paranormal events. We have a goal, hopefully, to be out of here sometime in March.
Yep.
So that's his, I guess his graduation date is sometime in March.
Yep.
So that's what we're crossing our fingers for. And he's hitting all of his benchmarks so far that I know of.
Yes.
So we're hoping for March. And then even still, I have to learn how to drive the albino rhino.
Yep.
And we're going to take it slow, but we're not going to take it slow.
Yeah, I have stuff to do.
And we've got big projects that we've been meaning to launch for this 2020.
Yeah.
So everybody, please be patient with us, but also please be prepared for a lot of content from us.
Yep, we still have lots of videos to do. We have lots of things to investigate, so nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Well, things have realistically, things have changed, but they have not changed for as worse as they could be. Yeah, so I won't be fighting anybody in the parking lot or the backyard for a while. So if you're listening and I owe you a fisticuff out in the parking lot, we'll have to pick it up at a later date.
I read you the comment, right?
Oh, yeah. I've had a couple of comments like that. Yeah.
He was like, this don't excuse you from the parking lot.
That's true. So, but yeah, it's I've got a lot of good people that seem to be interested in my recovery, which is nice.
Yeah.
And so far I've met some really wonderful nurses, and the nurses, they need to get paid more.
Yeah.
And I would like to say that if the doctors are listening, even remotely listening to this podcast, which they may or may not, did a good job so far. Thank you very much. Much appreciated for, not having me be a vegetable.
Yeah.
Which is entirely possible. Or even worse, deed.
Stop.
So, could have been, I could have killed the hell out of myself, basically, is what it boiled down to, but did not. So it kind of is what it is. But anyway, there you go. We thought we'd do a little bit of a podcast to kind of keep you guys updated because it's been a little bit of a ride for us, and we've been kind of busy.
Yep.
And we have not been shirking our responsibility, so it is what it is. But it could be a lot worse than it really is, and we do appreciate everybody that's been putting forth the good thoughts.
Yep.
In our next podcast, I do want to talk about my Reiki experience as a Reiki experiencer.
Yep.
And a terrible old hag thing that happened.
Yeah. Now, if you do have any questions or comments about the podcast, please reach out. It's going to be contact@creepgeeks.com. That phone number again is going to be 575-208-4025, or find us on social media. We'll provide links in the show notes. And lastly, if you would like to support the podcast, you can use our Amazon.com affiliate link. We get a small percentage. It doesn't change your price at all, and it helps us keep this podcast going.
Yes.
That link is Amazon.com/shop/cheapgeek. And thank you guys for so much for tuning in to us. We really appreciate it.
Yes. And if the audio is garbage, we apologize in advance. But if it sounds great, we meant to do that. So anyway, thank you very much. We'll talk to you guys again. See you later. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.